Kitty Cat Kids Corner. Kitty Cat Kids Corner. Kitty Cat Kids Corner. It's Catterday story time. Cool cat facts. Maneki Neko means the beckoning cat in Japanese. In America, the beckoning cat, or Maneki Neko, is also known as the lucky cat. The Maneki Neko, or lucky cat, is believed to bring good fortune. The Maneki Neko, or the beckoning cat, usually has a paw raised in a beckoning gesture and can be any color. How many lucky cats do you see on the screen? How many lucky cats do you see on the screen? Stay tuned to find out the answer at the end of today's story. Hello! Welcome back to another episode of Kitty Cat Kids Corner Catterday Story Time. Toby will be joining us for our story today. Today we will be reading Maneki Neko, The Tale of the Beckoning Cat. Written by Susan Lendroth and illustrated by Catherine Otoshi. You have come to the wrong place, little one, for I am as poor as you with few scraps to share, said the monk when he first saw the cat sunning herself outside his door. Still, he smiled, scratching the thin fur behind her ears and the spot on her back, round as a child's ball. The cat rolled, rubbing her head between the monk's hand and the hard-packed earth, then immediately sat up to polish the dust from her face. One curled paw dipped and rose, beckoning to the monk like an old friend. Perhaps you have come to the right place after all, laughed the monk. Picking up the cat, he cradled her against his chest, arms and fur curled together. A perfect fit. What do you think of the name? Tama, he asked. The cat purred and rubbed the monk's sleeve in reply. And so their friendship began in a little village in old Japan. Kotoku Monastery was small and poor. Its monk was small and poor, and so too was his cat, Tama. Together they lived a peaceful life. Each morning, the monk visited the village, greeting shopkeepers and farmers, old women and young men. The villagers shared their meager meals with him, giving the poor monk a pinch of rice or a morsel of tofu or dried fish. Sometimes, children bowed and handed him one of their precious sweets, sticky from warm, cupped hands. "Sensei," they murmured before they ran, laughing and shouting back to their games. Every afternoon, the monk shared his own simple lunch with Tama, kneeling on a frayed tamai mat. Afterwards, Tama cleaned herself from her moist nose to the short nub of her tail, smoothing each stray tuft of fur. In the evening, they watched the day end. Shoji screens opened wide to the night air. The monk sipped his tea while Tama chased moths dancing in the lantern light. She always fell asleep, curled in a circle, as perfect as the moon. Days slid into weeks, and months slipped into years, until one morning the air hung heavy and strangely still. The sun shone with fierce heat as soon as it slipped over the horizon. Then a charcoal smudge spread across the sky, and black clouds that roiled and boiled overhead turned the noon as dark as dusk. Thunder growled deep and low, marching closer and closer like a gigantic beast. Villagers scurried home, shooing children and chickens before them, their kimonos flapping in gusts of wind. When the first fat drops of rain began to fall, the monk stood in the monastery courtyard and called, "Tama!" again and again, but the wind tossed his words into the sky. Tama felt that same wind buffet her whiskers, but she had been stalking a bird and did not break off her hunt until it flew for cover. By then, the rain had begun, and Tama streaked for the monastery as scattered drops gave way to a torrential downpour. Buckets and barrels and rivers of water poured from the clouds and bounced off the ground against Tama, who sat hunched under the eaves of the monastery's small shrine. She tried to click smooth her bedraggled coat, but fur spiked in every direction. A noble samurai riding home that day was caught in the same storm. Armor proved no match for the deluge, and the road before him disappeared in the gloom. He led his horse under a large pine tree to wait out the worst of the rain. Bolts of lightning lit the village around him in brief glimpses, scenes appearing and disappearing like pictures dropped into the sea. Here, a cluster of small houses wavered through the rain. There, a street of tiny shops huddled in shuttered silence. Flash! A cat sat by a shrine, her waving paw, beckoning the samurai to come closer. A beckoning cat? The samurai peered across the road, rubbing the rain from his eyes. He could just make out the shape of a small shrine, and walked his horse over for a closer look. The moment the samurai stepped inside the monastery's gate, a great crack and blaze of light split the darkness and hurled him to his knees. Behind him, the pine tree lay burning, blasted in two by lightning. Before him, the samurai stared straight into Tama's wide eyes. Every hair of her body was raised as stiffly in the charged air as the paw still frozen by her whiskers. A screen slammed open, and the monk peered outside. Tama bounded up the stairs and rubbed wet fur against his ankles. "You're safe!" the monk cried, scooping her into his arms. "Noble sir," the monk bowed low at sight of the samurai. Quickly, he ushered him inside for a steaming cup of green tea. Tama sat before them, her paw waving to samurai and monk alike as she groomed every hair back into place. The samurai was an honorable man from an ancient and noble family. Tama had saved his life, and he vowed to better the lives of her and her companion. Showering riches on the monk, he transformed Kotoko Monastery into Gotokuji Temple, a great increase in size and importance. In turn, the monk shared his good fortune with the villagers who had always helped him. Tama grew plump and slow with the passing years. Birds hopped safely past while she slept in the sun. The tale of the cat, the samurai, and the storm spread far and wide, and people traveled great distances to see the small creature with one black ear and one white, who bestowed such luck on her monk. When Tama cleaned her face, pink toes cupping cheek and whiskers like a waving hand, visitors nodded wisely to one another. Village shopkeepers made statues of Tama, hoping the cat's raised paw would bring them wealth as well. In time, the custom spread across Japan and overseas, thousands of cats waving on thousands of shop counters. People called her Maneki Neko, the Beckoning Cat. And to this day she beckons, calling good fortune to each of her owners with the wave of her paw. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Kitty Cat Kids Corner Catterday Storytime. I hope you enjoyed our story about Maneki Neko, the tale of the beckoning cat, also called Lucky Cat. Stick around to find out the answer to today's puzzle. How many lucky cats do you see on the screen? If you guessed 7, you are correct. Great job, Toby. Great job. Great job. Great job, Toby. Great job. You can do it, Simon. Yeah, great job. Great job. Hi, Zelda. Hi, Zelda. Hi. Great job. Hi, Zelda. Great job, Zelda. Looking for more Catterday fun? Check out our Catterday and Cats 101 LibGuide on the LSC Sci-Fair Library website, and then check out the Harris County Public Library Facebook page and click on their events to find upcoming summer reading program events. You can also visit the hcpl.net website for a list of more summer reading program events. Be sure to check out our weekday story times with our talented children's librarians and specialists, and make sure to click on the link to find out more about our summer reading program. Happy Catterday! Don't forget to check out the hcpl.net online catalog for more books about cats. Check out our ebooks and audiobooks selection for kids.